Comes the other way, steps for three, and hit it. Jason Lawhead gives the Spartans a 5-4 lead. Back comes Illyria up top on the inbound. Flips it left side to Lawhead. He'll launch another three and hit it. Jason Lawhead with an NBA three on that one. Gives it deep in the corner to Lawhead for three, and he hit another one. Lawhead with 9 three-pointers.
Hey, what's going on? It's Thursday, December 4th, episode 6, Lawhead's Court. A fun week of sports coming up, a fun weekend of all of the decisiveness in college football. Where and when, who versus who, what seeds what, and looking forward to the Buckeyes repeat, really. I mean, I think after Saturday's game against Michigan, where they just did whatever they wanted. Yeah, Michigan went out, first drive scripted, a couple big chunk runs in their house, got some, early emotion out, 3-0, 6-0. After 6-0, it was men versus boys, and Ohio State, say what you want with how they've lost to Michigan in the last few years when they shouldn't have. Way more talent overall. Maybe you give a little bit of grace to the Michigan national title team, but, with the black eye on that team and all the cheating that they've done, that's proven and all the stuff that came out, whatever, they were never manhandled. Outplayed, outcoached, out-schemed, outfought, maybe obviously lost the line of scrimmage in those games against Michigan, but never just absolutely man versus boy like Ohio State just did to them. Did whatever they wanted. And then started after the early on 6-0, pushing away at the line of scrimmage, winning that, getting the big tackles, and eluding the big tackle. That Bo Jackson. I mean, the way that kid can just stay on his feet, the way that he can slip tackles. Let's hope he's going to be 100% for what we have coming up. Indiana, I hate being that guy. I get rambled off a little bit sometimes when I talk about the teams. But, I mean, to be this excited for Ohio State, to be this excited for Ohio State because you're a Browns fan, you got to understand, they are the only thing good in football in Ohio for a Browns fan. And always at this time of the year, when it gets around bowl season, we're really wondering what's going to happen with Ohio State, because we already know the Browns are dead and buried. St. Ed's won. Did they win another state title? I think they won another state title, didn't they? Did they win another state title, or did they lose? Did St. Ed's lose in the state championship? Can't remember. I know Matt Wilhelm's son plays for St. Ed's. But look, that being said, Indiana's no joke. I said this from week 2, week 3, early on. Anybody I talked to, I said, you know what? The way it looks to me, after the way we beat Texas and all these early preseason, whoever they were supposed to be, fell out immediately. And then, Miami lost pretty early. And then another team loses, and Alabama loses. So I was sitting there going, look, man, I'll tell you, Indiana, if anybody looks anything like Ohio State, in my opinion, that's out there in college football, it's Indiana. Competent quarterback that can do the right things and make the right decisions. They can run the ball. They're not just, your old Indiana that was going to get plowed over at the line of scrimmage. Like, even in the years past, if they had some good skilled players, a good receiver, a good running back, a good quarterback, that would look good against the Purdues and Northwesterns, but they would always get, clobbered when it came to playing a Michigan or an Ohio State or a Penn State or even Michigan State back in the day. But this is a real Indiana football team. this Signetti guy he's got the swagger. I mean, and he has got a program believing that they're just as good as anybody. They've played a tougher schedule than Ohio State. They've played in those kind of games. They're going to be on a neutral field. In their home state, it's going to be just as fast of a field for Indiana as it will be for Ohio State. Does Ohio State have the better talent? Sure, I believe they do. I believe that they're probably, sounder at the line of scrimmage. We'll see when it comes to it. But Indiana has held their own, gone into Oregon and won, even though Penn State has been a mess. They went in there and won a game against a team that was just trying to get out of the James Franklin smog and go win on their talent. They took them to the wire at home, but Indiana prevailed. So Ohio State looked great against Michigan. I think Ohio State wins this game, but I don't think it's a beat the brakes off of football game that we've seen Ohio State pretty much play all season long through the Big Ten schedule. I mean, I just don't see it that way. On that neutral field, on a fast field, Curt Cignetti's a good coach. Ryan Day has elevated his game from, beginning of the season last year to where we are now. Ryan Day is night and day, to pardon a pun. The guy is really night and day when it comes to just game management. Do they continue the streak of winning by 15 plus? I don't think so. I think Indiana gives them a game. I think Ohio State will pull away probably and win by 10 or 12 in the fourth quarter. But I think Indiana is definitely going to have something laid out nicely in the first half and make this a game. And as you saw against Michigan, Sane can throw one of these interceptions. He throws an interception, or, if they go 3 and out here or there, if they can get their arms around the running game, Michigan couldn't do, if there's a chance of that early, let's not be, look, Sane throws that interception early at 3-0. They don't go down and score. They could have, a good team could have went and made it 10-0. And then settle for 3 on the other end, where Bo Jackson really saved that possession on that little slight run to the right, or they were going to be maybe punting from midfield again. So those are the things that I worry about a little bit, because that could happen. Sane could go out and play flawless football. The running game could rack up 300 yards. The defense could, and so they could win by 15. But I think Indiana's prepared. I think Indiana's gone through too much. I think Indiana from last year has shown way too much to go get rolled over in a game like this on a neutral field. If they were playing, after 3 games in a playoff where they've been banged around a little bit and they met Ohio State on a neutral field in Texas somewhere, maybe a different story. I don't think losing Hartline will initially hurt them this week, but it may build up over time, and that's a stinger there. But I think Day has enough things in motion right now. I think showing that when Chip Kelly left and the offense looked so great with Chip Kelly, and Jim Knowles left and the offense looked so great with, or the defense looked so great with Jim Knowles, those two things still surged to be even, better, in my opinion, than they were last year throughout the season. So I think Hartline, obviously a huge loss. Yes, they lose a big recruit, maybe another 1 or 2, but it's still a factory for wide receivers. Saying there is a great, Day may have to step in and do a little bit more of that recruiting with who he brings into line. But I think, proof's in the pudding of what they've done. Saying there as quarterback for at least the next couple of years is a great selling point to still get the other top 2-1 recruits from the class the year after and the year after that. So, don't press the panic button right now. Obviously, you'd love to have Hartline, but it was a matter of time. I mean, I think Hartline was sticking around more or less for, does Day run himself out of town? He knew after last year's national title, didn't matter. He could lose to Michigan again because he could still go win the national title. And Hartline was eventually going to take a job that, I mean, I'm sure the phone was ringing for a couple of years. And there was probably a lot of University of South Floridas and laterally or below them types of programs that were ready to hire him on the dime. But he was going to sit there back and go, look, let me see. Now Day's got that job as long as he wants it. A year ago today, Dave was winning every game for his job. Now he's got the job as long as he wants it. And, I mean, unless he does something absolutely deplorable, absolutely, something that, whatever. He's got this because they're just going to become a machine. If he wins it again this year, come on. If he wins it again this year, back-to-back national titles at Ohio State under the 4-game playoff. That's great. That's the greatest accomplishment of any coach in the history of the Big Ten. You outside of Nick Saban and Paul Bear Bryant, that would be the greatest accomplishment. Back-to-back natties in the 4-team playoff format since whatever Saban and Paul Bear Bryant or anybody's ever done. And so he's got the job for life if he wins it this year. And Hartline's going to have to work his way up from University of South Florida and, maybe hopefully get the Penn State job one day and try to turn that around. Because, even if he is going to be the next biggest program coach, it probably won't be Ohio State unless I say Day does something deplorable or absolutely so stupid, or a player murders a guy and he covers it up. I mean, it would have to be, he could be on the Epstein list and they're going to cover him up. They won't even, you know what I mean? Like, so unless something is anyway, Ohio State, Indiana would be considered the greatest coach at OSU. There's no doubt. And think about that: Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel, Woody Hayes. I mean, right now you would go Woody 1, Urban 2, Tressel 3 on the winning percentage, impact on the program. I mean, you could even argue Tressel. Tressel came back and won a natty with a team that was like a 14-point underdog in a year where nobody saw that coming, and they hadn't won a national champion. Yeah, okay, I'll sure. Integrity, the way he ran the program, the way he revived the program, winning that natty against Miami. That Miami team was considered they were about to go back-to-back, right? Am I not mistaken that they had won it the year before and they were going to go back-to-back? 14.5-point favorite in a national title game. They were considered maybe one of the greatest college football teams if they had gotten that done. Yes. So I agree. Tressel 2, Woody 1. He's like the George Washington. Doesn't even matter. You could argue. You could even if you tried to dissect his stats, you would still sit there and go, well, Woody actually lost. I don't care. He lost to Bo Schembechler. He's George Washington of Ohio State football. Tressel's 2, Urban's 3. But you're right. Ryan Day is 4 weeks away, or whatever it is, 5 or 6 weeks away from Mike dropping that whole argument. Back-to-back natties in a 14 playoff in today's volatile transfer portal, NIL, programs everywhere, parity up the gut with, SEC and Big Ten and expansion and all of that stuff. Give me a break. There's no doubt. You can talk about how soft their regular season schedule was, but if they go through those 4 games again like they did last year, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their regular season has already passed Urban. Yeah, I mean, he probably really has. Urban had that season that they, the idiot AD, voluntarily suspended him from. Who knows? Maybe he even gets 2. Urban had a chance for a 3 or 4. I mean, he had some great teams, great recruiter. But I think he's already past Urban. I just think the Michigan thing was kind of the cloud. The one natty was great, big time. But the Michigan thing was a cloud. But from what he did since the natty, rolling him no losses, looking dominant every week and only getting better, buttoned up, clean football, getting Michigan back, redeeming themselves, putting themselves in this situation. Go out and beat Indiana, get the number 1 seed. You might see them again. You're the best team in college football. That right now, there is no argument. You mentioned earlier, Stock, on wanting to talk a little bit about the whole mess of Georgia and Duke. First off, the Duke thing is terrible. I mean, that's stupid that Duke is in the title game. They've got to somehow change that. They didn't play each other. I know the old rules, like, well, if you haven't been to the game as long as the other guy and you had the same record, there is no tiebreaker. There's the stupidest tiebreaker in the world. Put Miami in the football game. Because, first off, how Notre Dame is even ranked ahead of Miami right now? It is. Well, because here's the thing. Notre Dame is part-time member. So when Miami beats them head-to-head, it doesn't go against anything Notre Dame has to deal with when it comes to any type of standing. They get to go play Stanford in their last game and then walk away and let Duke go be in the championship game, because it doesn't that loss doesn't hold them against anything in the standings. They get to say, oh well, here's our record and here's who we. It convicts, to pardon the pun, it convicts the University of Miami, and puts them on the outdoor doormat looking in when they've beaten Notre Dame head to head. When I think if you look at their schedule, they have more quality wins than Notre Dame over the course of that schedule. And how they're ranked below a team, the fact that it makes no sense. And because they can't play on Saturday, it improve or prove what they have against Notre Dame. They can't move up. Can they move up? I mean, how do you jump Notre Dame if you're ranked behind them and you beat them head to head? You both are 2-loss teams. I don't understand. Like, this is they just keep making a mess. No matter how much they try to clean up this mess. Oh, we'll go to a 14 playoff. Oh, we'll go to a 12-team playoff. Oh, we'll have a transfer portal. Oh, we'll make it, NIL. We'll make it balanced. Hey, anybody can compete. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever lies they try to tell them, they still have this. Make it up as they go. Make it up as they go. It's almost to the point where now that you have these massive conferences, if you're not going to have split divisions, you're just going to have a bunch, and that there's a 12-team playoff. Screw this last week of the season. Go to a 16-team playoff. Once rivalry week is over, look at their resumes and say, here's who's ranked 1 through 16. If we're not going to have a split Western or North or South or East or West division to really we're just going to go, well, it's first place versus second place. And if second and third place don't play each other and there's not and we got to go to this algorithmic rhythm to let you have a 7-5 Duke team playing for the ACC title over a 12-2, 11-2, whatever Miami is. It's a joke. And Miami might get left out of this thing. And then that's another reason why Georgia, Alabama. If Georgia beats Alabama and now Alabama's a 3-loss team, what's Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt's going to go, wait a minute. There's no reason for that Georgia-Alabama game. Wait. If Alabama's 3 losses, are they better than us? Still? Or even with 2 losses, it's like, Vanderbilt's like, we have 2 losses too. Vanderbilt beat Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Right? No, Alabama beat Vanderbilt. I'm sorry. But if Alabama loses that third game, that's what Vanderbilt's sitting there going, wait, we're a 2-loss team and we don't get to play on this week to remain a 2-loss team. So anyway, it's going to be crazy. The NCAA rankings going into this week, 1 and 2 is Indiana. I mean, at the end of the day, if Georgia loses, look at Texas Tech, look at Oregon. I would say, unless Ohio State boat races Indiana, which I don't think they will, and it's a close game, Indiana should remain 2. They should get the bye. If their only losses to Ohio State in a close game after beating Oregon, after beating all the teams that are behind them, nobody behind them would have beaten Indiana except the number 1 ranked defending champs who haven't lost since last year's Thanksgiving. So if it's a close game, I say Indiana too. If it's a boat race, maybe Indiana slips. If Georgia wins, Georgia's 2. If Georgia wins, they've got to hope, in my opinion, Indiana gets boat raced. Because even if Indiana beats Ohio State in a nail-biter, which that's the only way they're going to beat them, Indiana isn't beating Ohio State. You've seen this Ohio State team, all right? They're not getting beat by anything more than a point or 2 or 3 by anybody in the country, okay? So if Indiana beats Ohio State by 1 or 2, Indiana's 1 and Ohio State's 2. Georgia, in my opinion, Georgia has to hope for a Ohio State boat race. Texas Tech, I mean, let's be honest. That conference, that schedule. Let's look at the Texas Tech schedule. Who have they beaten? They lost to Arizona State. I mean, who have they beaten? BYU. Okay, big deal. BYU. Utah early in the season. They're garbage. I mean, their non-conference was University of something PB. I don't even know what that is. Kent and Oregon State, who Oregon State's been, BYU. But still, they beat a bunch of guys on waiting to go on mission for playing football just to make sure that they can go door to door afterwards. And at the end of the day, that's BYU's only loss because they haven't beaten anybody. Utah, same thing. So, I mean, Texas is sitting there at 4, but I don't care what they do. They have no ability to get to the 1 or 2 seed. Even if Georgia lost and Indiana got boat raced, I would still put Indiana 2. Or who's right behind Texas Tech right there? But then Oregon didn't beat, Indiana. It's just a mess. CEO of Crumble Cookie just infused BYU with tons of sweet cash. Yeah, well, I'm sure they have tons of sweet. Yeah, Oregon's 5, Ole Miss is 6. None of those teams deserve to jump. I mean, Ole Miss didn't get it to the SEC title game. So I think 1, 2, and 3 is pretty much set no matter what happens. Well, if Georgia loses, there'll be a new number 3. Maybe Texas Tech would go to number 3. If Texas Tech, maybe, but Oregon doesn't have a game to play. So when you look at the schedules, BYU and Texas Tech play each other again. BYU's 11. If BYU wins, Texas Tech is out. BYU may climb into that top 6, but they're not going to get one of those top 4 seeds. I pause sometimes because I'm reading comments. I'm trying to figure out. That's the one thing about going live. And I got to quit put my elbows on the table. But look, Georgia wins. They're in a good spot because somebody in the Big Ten has to lose. And the voters love the SEC. No matter, even if Ohio State, TTU will still be in. I agree. They'll be a lower seed, but they'll still be in if they lose. Not a great schedule, though. But neither is Notre Dame, right? You look at Notre Dame, and come on. So BYU, they lose, they're out. Virginia's interesting because they can sit there and go, well, we won the ACC, call it what you want. We are 11-2. We're a 2-loss team that won their conference championship. And how do you keep that? How do you keep, Virginia out if they win? I know they have 2 terrible losses and no good wins, but they're sitting there going, is that our fault that this is the schedule? This is a major conference. Service Academy Conference, yeah. So there's going to be some decisions to make in that, mid seeding and late seeding of who gets what and who's out, and it's going to be interesting. I think Ohio State wins the game, but I don't think they're going to just gloss over it. I think Indiana's going to be really ready to play football, and God love them. They are, to me right now, win or lose, the second best team in the country. I think they've shown that against the schedule when you compare them to the other teams, and the consistency that they've shown from last year into this year. Notre Dame got hot last year when it mattered. That's not the same team. Notre Dame is not the same team as they were last year, not even close. And so I just don't think that they belong. I just don't think Notre Dame, 2 losses, no game to play this Saturday. Other teams I just don't think they should be there. I think Canes jump ND next week due to outcomes this weekend and all the noise around it, certainly. So you think Notre Dame and Miami not playing on Saturday, you think Miami will jump Notre Dame in a ranking system when the voters can sit there and go, well, Miami, they didn't make the conference championship. Even if you want to point an argument and poke the hole in all of that and have the part-time Notre Dame due to the noise. So you think there'll be enough noise for Miami to swing those votes away from a program named Notre Dame? It's an exhibition. You mean like the whole thing's an exhibition? It's just a big show? Is that what you mean? It's an exhibition, a big show, all of it? I don't disagree. Okay, I don't disagree with that. But I think part of that big exhibition and big show is finding a way to include Notre Dame no matter what, and Alabama no matter what. I mean, if they can try to find an argument and a 3-loss Alabama team somehow can get the 12th seed, they will exhibition that all day and exploit it. I don't think they'll have a leg to stand on this year with the amount of records out there and different teams that have shown what they can do. If Alabama has 3 losses, I think, hey, we got a new one. The Lions, ND equals money. No doubt. But that doesn't make things right. And that's the culture we live in. Well, it's making money. But that doesn't make it right. That's the sad kind of just reluctance as a society we've just buried ourselves into. It doesn't make it right that ND can draw, can bring in TV money, can get viewers. And, this is a playoff. This is, what you earned, to get there. And I just don't think Notre Dame is same with Bama. No doubt. Same with, Ohio State. If Ohio State was teetering at 2 losses and not looking good, I think, they would try to maybe justify if they could. And so there's a couple of those programs. And some of those programs we thought were those programs, they've lost that luster. They've lost that cachet. The USCs, Oregon has kind of taken USC's spot and saying, well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt if there is one. And so some of those teams have lost that shine of being able to say, well, this is who we are. Don't let the Canes indirect some of these lesser teams. Hey, look, Canes should have, and the only criticism I'll have on the Canes is they should have took care of business. They should not be a 2-loss team if they believe they are this kind of team that can go in to the 14 playoff and rattle some cages and knock some teams off and all of a sudden be in the semifinals or the final game. If the Cane base, I know you're an old Cane lover, Stock. If the Cane base still should have took care of business. Don't give me that SMU has been tough for the last 2 years. Yeah, they have. And so have Brian Kelly's University of Cincinnati teams back in the day, and so have some of these other small market schools. But they shouldn't be beating Miami when Miami's competing for a national title. That's what I'm talking about. And so Miami should have took care of business. I still think they should be ranked ahead and be put in there, and let's see what they can do, because that's what this whole format has been for. 12 teams, maybe 16 down the road. That's what it's been there, is to say, hey, play a tougher schedule, make it up later, get yourself into the playoffs, get hot, and maybe you are the best team in the country. We'll see. We'll let you prove whether you're the best team in the country or not. But the Canes should have took care of business. They should have been no worse than a 1-loss team. And, and that's where the argument will come for Notre Dame, for some of these other schools. That's where the argument will come. So it's going to be an exciting Saturday. I can't wait to talk about it next week. Next week, we're going to know who's playing who, where, seeds, who's in, who's out. That'll be fun to talk about, but I want to move on from college football, go Buckeyes. Headline news in Cleveland: Deshaun Watson becomes the all-time NFL leader in returning to practice. Oh, my God. This guy's back at practice, everybody. Stop the presses. Oh, Deshaun Watson, who's been $280 million, absolutely just total crater in a franchise. He's back to practice. Woo. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that the Browns are 3-9, and this is what they've got for us. Great mentor for the young QBs. What? Huh? I have to sit on that comment for a second. And I know that there's an emoji. So there's like that's a sarcastic comment. The emoji, if I'm trying to get hip to the younger, generation with emojis, that comment with that emoji left, I'm assuming that's sarcasm, Stalker. Is that? Yes. Okay. I am. I'm starting to get emoji language. Sometimes I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? She's like, oh no, that means my wife's got to tell me. She's got to translate emoji for me. I'm like, what is this asshole? What's this fuck? No, that's a nice thing. He wants you. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yes, it's a joke. You have right now, the Browns have a head coach. Stefanski doesn't want Sanders. The fans don't want Watson. And now there's possibly a quarterback controversy coming, if there might be. Only a head coach, Cleveland, and a fan base could be in a quarterback controversy. I don't get it. Somebody commented, I left a post about how stupid this was, and somebody commented, like, I want Watson back out there. And, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? Hey, man, he's either the guy for the job for the future, or he shows something where we can get rid of. I go, so your logic is, I couldn't even reply to the guy because I couldn't. I read the thing, and I just was like, the delusion, the Pavlov dog delusion in that comment that I want Watson. Because maybe maybe he'll prove that he's the starter and he's a guy and he's back, or he does well enough that we can shop him to another team. Think about that statement. Take it all in. Well, which one is it? So if he's spectacular, we'll keep him. If he's pretty good, we'll shop him and then put Sanders back on the bench and back on the back burner and then just shop him for what? Shop that contract for what? For who? For what? For what round of a draft pick? Then what? But then what? Like, his point was, no, I don't want Sanders. I want Watson to either prove. But like, so spectacular, keep Watson for the future. He's going to change the face. The saddest part is when they signed Watson, the window's shut, dude. When Watson came aboard, they had Super Bowl contender talent at multiple positions. Offensive and defensive side of the ball. The offensive side, that has just withered away in that time frame. From the time Watson wasn't even going to be him at $280 million, an all-pro quarterback, once he wasn't even a factor and he's not even in the equation, to Amari Cooper, to Nick Chubb, to offensive line, to they had a window at that time. When he arrived, they were Super Bowl contender window with talent. Jim Schwartz had gotten here, elevated the defense to absolutely top-notch. I mean, they still are a Super Bowl contender defense, especially in this season in the NFL. There aren't even that many really good teams out there in the NFL. Next head coach. Yeah. I mean, Jim Schwartz should have, I said this 4 weeks ago, just cut the turning. Just cut the bleeding. 4 weeks ago, when Dylan Gabriel physically made me sick during the Jets game, I said, just fire him. Give Schwartz the job through the end of the season. Give some young play caller the offense. Have Schwartz. The defense is implemented. They're great. Have Schwartz get the special teams buttoned up. Fire that guy. Fire as many guys as you think you need to fire, Schwartz, around the situation besides Haslam. Yeah, I wish he could fire. Besides Stefanski. Tell Haslam, look, I want this young guy here calling the plays. I want this guy running the special teams. I'm going to keep an eye on it all. We're going to get these things buttoned up. I'm not promising you wins because look what you have for me on offense. But I'm promising you that this defense, who has given you opportunities to win games multiple times all year long, but you can't score more than 13 points in a football game. Look, I'm going to try to reckon that, and I'm going to try to make sure the special teams doesn't give up absolute disasters in the middle of a football game. Problem with that franchise is the same with the problem with Jets. Well, of course. I mean, it all starts there. I've been harping on that, and I've been telling fans to stop spending money on this team. Watch them on TV because it's part of the fabric of what you are as a fan. I get it. I still do. But stop. I wouldn't go. People were like asking me, dude, let's meet in Vegas this year. I'm like, I'm not spending my money and weekend to watch those guys, even though they beat Vegas. But still, I'm not. I don't want to watch those. I'm not spending my money, giving my money to that crap. I'm not coming back. I was home for the Miami game in town. It was raining. I would have gone. But I'm like, I'll watch it. I'm not paying. I'm not going down to that stadium and giving them money. I'm not promoting this. This is what they want you to do. They want you to buy seat licenses. They want you to buy season tickets. They want you to buy $25 beers. Why? For the crap that Jimmy Haslam has no plan. I know. I was just about to screen cap. I went to check the NFL schedule. Tickets are as low as 15 a game now. 8. It says when you go on ESPN and it gives you the whole schedule of the NFL of the week, there's that time, location, and then it says tickets available, and it goes down the matchup. Tickets for a low as $124. There is a tickets for low as $8 for the Browns-Titans game. The line underneath it is Buffalo, and I forget whoever. Tickets as low as 160. You go to the San Francisco-Seattle game, tickets as low as 260. Browns-Titans, tickets as low as $8. $8. You can't see a matinee movie for $8. But that's what this team, that's how bad they stink. What a bunch of crap. Could you imagine being a season ticket holder? And this guy wants to charge seat licenses at the new stadium. You know why? Because the only thing he's concerned about at putting in that new stadium, people are like, oh, man. Like, all he's doing right now, he's not talking to GMs. He's not talking to coaches. He's talking to Luke Bryant's agent. Man, hey, man, we want to get you here on that. They're going to be more concerned whether they can get Taylor Swift and Luke Bryant, whatever their country name guy, I don't know who's who, to go and fill that place. They're going to get music festivals and Final Fours. They don't care about Cleveland Browns football. The last thing that stadium is for Jimmy Haslam is Cleveland Browns football. It's the last thing. The scoreboard at this stadium is in the shape of the state of Tennessee. Because you think he cares? You think he cares about Ohio and Cleveland football? He's a grifter. He's been grifting you fucking idiots that go to these games and buy these jerseys. He's grifting you. Because all he cares about is fleecing you for what you come to see. WWE. He's going to get in bed with Dana White. There's going to be UFC. And God bless it. Hey, Cleveland, good for you. You're going to have some fun stuff to do because he's made the Browns absolutely miserable. So Deshaun Watson's back at practice. Yippee. What a great distraction right now. After Shadir Sanders is just trying to make something of himself in an offense that's just absolutely it's despicable. It's despicable. And is he the answer? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, Cleveland is where quarterbacks go to die, even if they don't. But a little patience for once would be nice. A little patience for once. You took a flyer on him. You signed Flacco and Pickett before the draft. Yes, traded Pickett, gave him all the reps in training camp, then traded Pickett right on the hamstring to Oakland or whatever their name is. And then 3 weeks into the season, you trade Flacco. The 4th and 5th round pick you drafted that never got any of these reps are now sprung in to the middle of an offense that's just deplorable. And now it's 2 weeks in. People are criticizing Sanders. Hey, I'm critical of Sanders in the sense that, dude, you've got to learn the position better. There's no doubt. And meanwhile, in Tampa, number 6, sure. And this isn't an advocation for we should have kept Baker. That was a long time ago. There were other things working. Baker had maybe some growing up to do on his part, but it shows you that ownership and the front office weren't willing to be patient with that and say, let's try to get this guy back to full health. This is our window right now. We've got all pros on defense. We've got all pros on offense. Maybe if we're gonna grind it out with Stefanski this long over the amount of losses that he's lost post Baker Mayfield. You could say he went to the playoffs once, sure. And that was a great year on defense. And Watson started the year a little bit okay. Flacco obviously came in and rode it. But that defense took that team to the playoffs that year. But if you were going to be this patient with Stefanski for this long, they should have been that patient with, or at least attempted to be. And none of this is what I'm saying about Sanders and Watson. Any of it really has anything to do with Tampa. But the Lions came in and said, meanwhile, in Tampa, number 6, yes, he's going to go to the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row in Tampa. Post Tom Brady. I mean, and not long post Tom Brady. Pretty short post Tom Brady, right after Tom Brady. But this guy's won a football game in the playoffs in Tampa. The last 2 playoff wins in Tampa Bay history, Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. The last 2 playoff wins in Cleveland Browns history, Baker Mayfield, Vinny Testaverde. Right there. That's a nutshell. I mean, this is to a point where, they have the Titans this week. And as I said 2 weeks ago against the Raiders, if they can't go in and beat that Raider team that we saw on the Monday night short week coming around, yeah, in Pittsburgh, you want to play okay. Which should have, if Stefanski gets this kind of leash, how doesn't he get a longer leash for that alone? I said after that game, Ben Roethlisberger, he made Ben Roethlisberger cry in Pittsburgh. I said that was the first time you ever seen tears from Ben Roethlisberger since he was maced by a woman in a bathroom. Like, listen, not advocating, not saying, it was a long time ago at this point. Things happened on both ends. But look, the point is talking about Baker. The point is patience with Shedeur. Have some. Let him maybe go out and win a game against the Titans without any distractions. Why not just say, hey, we're going to play Tennessee this week, and I know there's only a few weeks left. You want to practice. We'll bring it back to practice. We're not going to make a big headline news out of it. But let's see if Shedeur can go win against Tennessee at home. Okay? He had a big come down to earth against a really good football team. And I said that last week. I said, yeah, the Raiders game 24-. But look, we had 6 3-and-out punts. We punted 2 other times on 5 and 6 play drives, turned the ball over twice. One was a bonehead move by Judy, whatever. But the point is, 10 possessions, that's what happened. So that's not going to work against San Francisco. That obviously did not work against San Francisco. The pocket collapses quickly. He doesn't have a whole lot of skilled receivers and people to catch the football. Junkins is coming along really well, but until you can actually throw the football in some play action and keep teams honest and keep a pocket together, the running game can only do so much. And then you get into the red zone or near the red zone, and guess what? These plays don't work. They had an open window. The union could have filed grievances if he was cleared practice by doctors. Okay. And that's another little, the union will come running to this guy's rescue always. That's another problem. Totally enabling all of this crap. Let's start practicing in week 13. I mean, come on, man. How sad that looks. It's like the guy coming to work, he's supposed to be at work at 8 a.m. He gets there after lunch. He's like, dude, what do you want me to do? You're fired. That's what I want you to do. You get out of here. Wait till next year. Well, don't come to work till tomorrow. That's the mentality of Watson. He, as I said earlier, he all-time NFL leader in returning to practice. This guy does everything but play football. So Browns-Titans Sunday, you got to expect the Browns. I mean, with that defense against Cam Ward and what they're going through, funny Jets with the same through with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, but not as long and not as bad of a commitment, right? They were able to move on quickly. And at least, hey, at least Jets treated Rodgers with the respect Rodgers had earned over a career. Watson was treated and compensated and guaranteed and everything else under the sun for a career that doesn't even sniff Aaron Rodgers at that point. So with that being said, the Achilles injury. Yeah, no, not with just the Achilles, but they opened the practice. Yeah, I know. And he's a handful, and the Steelers are now going through it. Yeah. And now the Steelers are going through it with Rodgers and the receivers and the who's the blame game. And, hey, look, at that point, Rodgers was a gamble with just the personality quirks and some of the other past kind of history he's had with some, how he's addressed the press about his team and teammates and coaches. So, yeah, there was that. Watson maybe didn't have that type of, Watson had the kind of the off-field stuff, oh boy, the worries about women and all of that stuff. So they were two different animals, two different types of problems that were coming to both franchises just in different ways. But as the Lions said, they didn't give Rodgers $250 million, and they were able to cut that loose and move on quickly. Now, Justin Fields isn't the antidote for Rodgers, but to go back to the Lions' point is the Jets are the same as the Browns. It wouldn't matter if Justin Fields was the anecdote for Aaron Rodgers because it's a place where quarterbacks go to die. I mean, look at Mark Sanchez right now. This guy is literally trying to kill people because he was a Jets quarterback. So this is where players go to die. Jets, Browns, Raiders right now. Those three franchises right now are probably the three worst franchises in pro sports. Because even as bad as there are teams in the NBA and bad as there are teams in Major League Baseball, they are usually teams that can't compete, especially baseball, financially, which is because that's unfair. Football has the most even Steven salary. They've got the most parodied, you can be good in Tennessee and you can be bad in LA type of system. NBA's the rich get a little richer, not too bad, but baseball, obviously. But right now, those three teams are the worst franchises in pro sports. Because as bad as some of these baseball teams are, in a year or two, hey, they might be a wild card contender to get some young player, except for the Clippers. You can't solve that problem with bad owners. Yeah, but the Clippers go to the playoffs, though. I mean, this year's a bad year for the Clippers. But, they are able to attract really top talent. Now, Kawhi, load management, James Harden doesn't show up in the playoffs. Sure. But they've been able to win games. Well, Sterling, yeah. I mean, they've got better ownership now. I mean, past Clippers, the Sterling Clippers, pre-Ballmer Clippers. Yeah, I mean, that's the worst, probably business in America, let alone sports franchise. That's just the worst business ever. I mean, that makes Subway look credible. But you look at that, and it's just like, why would anybody? And that's the other thing. The other reason I want to go back to Norman Powell was their best player, and they traded him. Of course, Norman Powell, San Diego kid, San Marcos. Norman Powell was their best player, and they traded him. And he's a phenomenal player, Norman Powell. Big reason why Toronto, him and Pascal Siakam, big reasons why Toronto won that NBA title. But getting back to the head coach and Schwartz, and that's the other thing is like, well, you give it to Schwartz and see how he finishes the season, see how he does with the team and overseeing things. Because guess what? The Kyle Shanahans, the Ben Johnsons that are out there, if there are any right now, they're not coming to Cleveland. They don't want to come to Cleveland. Why do you think the Raiders had to hire Joe Biden? Because nobody wants to coach that team that's worth anything. Why do you think the Jets have whoever they've had over the last few years, Solomon, or this next guy? Because nobody wants to coach them. The Browns, they fire Stefanski, give it to Schwartz. Who else are you going to get? You think you're going to get the next Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson could have had head coaching jobs for 2 years. He waited. He wanted to win a Super Bowl in Detroit and then go get a really good job that was ready for him. And then look at that. Look at where getting Ben Johnson. We're not getting Mike Vrabel. Nobody wants that. Nobody's coming to this crap. So get Jim Schwartz, who's been a head coach, who's obviously locked in with his defense. These guys obviously love to play for him because they go out every week trying to win football games on a terrible football team. So go get him, put him in the job, and let's see what the Browns can do and at least finish. They should win the Titans game. That's 4 wins. Their defense always gives them the ability to have a chance. If the special teams could not make mistakes, maybe make the field goals when you get them. Stop penalizing yourself and going backwards. Get to the red zone, execute in the red zone a little bit, just a little bit. Keep your defense off the field once in a while. Stop having so many 3 and outs or 4 and 5 play punt drives. And you can win. This team could have won even with Flacco trading him, Gabriel hurt, Sanders, Yada. This team could have won 7 games just based off the fact that their defense kept them in things. I liken this football team to if their defense is so good. The fact that these guys are that bad of a team with that good of a defense, it would have been like the 90s Braves losing 100 games with Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox, and Avery. That's really what the 2025 Browns are basically at a unicorn. They would have been the 90s Braves if they would have lost 90 to 100 games every year with that pitching staff. And so if you can't fix, if you can't improve, big deal. So you're going to look back, you're going to win 4 games. You're going to go, they were against Miami, who was winless at the time. Angels sucking with Trout and Ohtani. Yeah. Okay. Way better, more recent and actual plausible, not a hypothetical. Thank you, Stock. I may have to bring you in as a co-host on this show and just give you a window on here. We can do a 2-man. East Side Posse. We'll call the show East Side Posse. That's what the Browns are right now, and that's where they're going. They're not trying to come out of this and become better. This is where they've gone to. They were 2 years ago. They were entering the playoffs. Since then, they lost the last. Since then, 6-25. 6-25 since they clinched a playoff spot 2 years ago. So they're not trying to crawl out of being a bottom last place team. They have torpedoed themselves to that point. And it's not getting any better. So try to make it a little better with Jim Schwartz and Shedeur Sanders the rest of the way. Even if Sanders has to take some sacks and some possessions look ugly and they still lose some games, if he can not turn the ball over and manage a little bit of the offense and Judkins can run the football, maybe some of the play calling gets a little easier with another guy that's a fresh face and he's excited because Jim Schwartz wanted him to be there and he thinks Shedeur Sanders could do this, or this that Stefanski wouldn't let him do. And maybe that's something that improves because this isn't working. From Flacco to Dylan Gabriel to Shedeur Sanders, the Stefanski thing isn't working. And even with you say Dion, may I have him call the plays? Schwartz head coach, Deion Sanders at the offensive coordinator position. Hey, you might as well, as good as he was, I would say Schwartz head coach, Deion head coach, and special teams coach. Get it all buttoned up. Or offensive coordinator, Deion offensive coordinator and special team coach, Jim Schwartz head coach, defensive coordinator. They have a 2-headed monster doing all 4. So his OC was Pat. Where's it Pat Shurmur? I didn't know that. Gosh, that's a name from one of a million freaking coaches on a scrap heap. Well, his OC, Pat Shurmur, they're showing this year that if Pat Shurmur was still the OC this year, then you don't want him around. But that's an experiment I would try. But you got to do it now. I mean, I guess it's too late now. If you weren't going to do it after the Niners loss or the Jets loss, it's kind of too late. You go in, you beat the Titans. And as bad as the AFC is, you're probably still in the hunt at 4-9. As bad as the AFC has been this year, and where that 6 and 7 seed is teetering. Win-loss wise, 4-9 is probably not, but Bengals are, they go 5-9, they're still in the hunt, or 5-8, they're 4-8. So if they go 5-8 this week, they're still in the hunt. Just finish your fire them after the Bengals beat them. But that's what I'm afraid. I'm afraid that they will fire him. And the coaching search won't go straight to Schwartz. It'll go outside of Schwartz, and it'll be long, and it'll be enduring, and it'll be dragging their feet through January and February because nobody that's desirable wants to be there. So they're going to swing and miss on the first 20 phone calls for the whole month of January and February. And then they're going to tell you in some press conference after the Super Bowl, they've got a list. They've got a short list of guys they're going to interview, and it won't be Schwartz. And maybe because of that, he'll leave. That's the worry with not putting Schwartz in now or hiring him the minute you fire Stefanski if it's the end of the season. And maybe, you don't think Schwartz's phone's going to ring? You don't think a team that goes, dude, we're just a little bit of defense away from being a division winner or winning a Super Bowl. You don't think that maybe, somebody calls up Jim Schwartz and says, man, see, you didn't get the Browns head coaching job. It's a mess over there. Come over here, dude. Yada, yada. You can make this defense. You can, shave 4 or 5 points a game off of this defense, and we're Super Bowl contenders. Great. I'll see you. And now what are the Browns? The Browns are going to be sitting there holding their asshole with Shadur Sanders as the future quarterback or Deshaun Watson. That's going to be that's what you're walking into. You're going to walk into a Shadur Sanders, Deshaun Watson quarterback controversy in the summer. And a lot of question marks on the offensive end at skilled positions other than Judkins in the running game. And you got to hope he doesn't commit any crimes in the offseason. You're just like, dude, nobody get hurt. Nobody commit crimes. Nobody, please. Can you just not get hurt, commit crimes in the offseason, and then maybe we can win 6 games. But anyway, Saturday, Buckeyes, Indiana. Looking forward to that one. Sunday, Browns, Titans. Tickets for low as don't buy them. No matter how cheap. Don't even take the tickets. They don't even take the tickets. They cut Watson at the June 1st deadline. You think they cut him? All right. Then just, if they're going to cut him June 1st, then just let him practice under the guys that he's back at practice and there's reporters reporting about it. And just I don't even care if Sanders gets carried off the field. Go to Judkins in the wing tee and just snap it straight to him. That's how much I don't think Watson should be on the field ever again. So cut him at the June 1st deadline. Great. Whatever. Eat what you got to eat. Cut him at the June 1st deadline. On with Sanders and maybe another draft pick that you get if you feel like there's something. And Bradley Zappi. Yeah, Bailey Zappi. Yeah, Zappi. Whatever. Until there's a regime change, probably Haslam, until there's a head coaching change and a front office change, Zappi's just going to be zippy in Cleveland because that's where they come to die. And that's all I got for you today, man. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk next week. Everybody joining in. We had the most viewers we've had in a while. So, hey, like it, share it, tell people, hey, man, if you like to talk sports, it's a live podcast. I'm trying to just build this thing organically from the ground up. I would love to have more people chiming in, commenting, talking about what they want to talk about. I love this kind of stuff, and it's easy, man. I don't have to do any post-production. Turn it on, talk to the peeps, get out a little bit of the the sports commentary. Send me the link next week. I will, baby. And I'll be promoting it. I know, Stock, you're not on the social medias, but I'm always trying to promote it. If you see me on social media, follow me on Jason Lawhead Comedy Instagram. Follow me on at Jason Lawhead Comedy on YouTube, like that, and subscribe to that. I got TikTok at Jason Lawhead Comedy. I'm not on that a lot, but you're on Blue Sky. I thought that was a restaurant in Amherst. But anyway, Blue Sky, profile for 2, please. Anyway, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. I don't care if you follow me on that. You can if you want. But always has everything I'm doing. Shows, podcasts. I'm going to be posting some cooking stuff. I've got a whole bunch of cooking video in the can, man. So much stuff. I've just got to kind of parse through, chop up, edit. That's the hard part. But I got all kinds of fun cooking stuff. I'm going to start even just kind of incorporating into some other little content. So yeah, thanks for following me. Go Buckeyes on Saturday. And we will be talking to you next week. Have a good night, everybody.